I still remember the moment I opened the mail that day. My hands were shaking, not with excitement, but with a cold, creeping dread. I held the invitation in my fingers, turning it over. I still remember the moment I opened the mail that day. My hands were shaking, not with excitement, but with a cold, creeping dread. I held the invitation in my fingers, turning it over, and then it hit me. Her name was missing. Completely absent. The envelope felt heavier than it should have, as if the paper itself carried the weight of betrayal. My chest tightened. Every heartbeat echoed the injustice I couldn't yet voice. I reached for my phone, scrolling through the family group chat, and there it was. Pictures flooding in before the party had even started. Faces smiling, glasses raised, laughter frozen in pixels, and still no sign of her. My mother passed by, casually saying, "She wasn't invited this time." Like it was nothing. Like it was no big deal. But the words pierced me deeper than I could explain. I replayed the last time I saw her in my mind, how she always put everyone else first, how she never asked for anything in return, never expected recognition, and yet somehow she was always the backbone of every celebration. And now, seeing my cousins in those photos, laughing and glowing, I felt a twist in my chest. She would have lit up that room in ways no one else could. And instead, I sat there, invisible, a silent observer to a joy she deserved to share. Then I saw it. A public post on social media highlighting her absence. The captions were smug, almost taunting. My stomach churned. Every word burned. The humiliation dug even deeper when distant relatives asked me with those curious, pointed looks, why wasn't she invited? And I stumbled over excuses, my voice cracking under the weight of both truth and shame. Later, staring at my reflection, I saw my eyes. Burning, raw, a storm of grief and unspoken fury mirrored back at me. Her voice came to me then. Calm, wise, haunting. Appearances can be deceiving. Never forget that. Every decoration, every balloon, every laugh captured in those photos felt like a personal jab. My anger erupted as I confronted my parents. Voice trembling, words sharp, but they dismissed me with hollow apologies. And that question, the one I couldn't shake, why was she left out when she was the very reason it all happened, kept echoing in my mind. I felt the storm rising inside me, quietly boiling, unseen by everyone but me, a rage and grief entwined, waiting for the moment it could finally be unleashed. I remember her like she was always there, even when no one noticed. Nights spent meticulously planning family celebrations, turning chaos into perfection, while the rest of the family barely lifted a finger. She sacrificed her weekends, her sleep, even her personal joys, all to make everyone else's happiness possible. And still, my aunts and uncles treated her efforts as invisible, taking credit for what was never theirs. I think of the countless late-night phone calls when I was crushed by heartbreak or fear, and she stayed on the line, soothing my pain without ever expecting a word of thanks. Her laughter used to fill our home, warm and calming, a balm that could heal any wound. She quietly handled the debts that threatened cousins, navigated crises I couldn't comprehend, and mediated family feuds with a patience that seemed endless. But betrayal had always shadowed her. I remember when a cousin lied, claiming credit for a major family achievement she had orchestrated. And yet, she shielded me from the embarrassment, absorbing the shame silently, never letting her own heart show the bruises. I recall being told, "She's too old-fashioned," or "she doesn't fit in," comments that cut sharper than any outright insult. And now, staring at the empty chair she always favored in the living room, I feel her absence as a haunting void. But even in memory, her resilience strikes me. The quiet, unwavering strength she carried despite constant disregard. A journal surfaces, filled with her private struggles, sacrifices no one ever noticed, layers of dedication woven into every page. This celebration wasn't just about her being excluded. It was a deliberate erasure of her influence, a subtle attempt to make her invisible. The more I recall, the sharper my anger becomes, coiling tightly, ready to pierce through the polished facade of a family that never deserved her. Every memory of her grace and endurance fuels a fire that will not be ignored. I stopped staying quiet. I started asking questions, Soft ones, polite ones, wrapped in fake smiles. Who handled the guest list this time? That setup looks familiar. Didn't she design something like that years ago? Every question landed like a pin, and I watched them flinch. At small gatherings, the discomfort showed. Conversations stalled, eyes darted away. Excuses spilled out clumsy and rushed. No one wanted to answer directly. No one wanted to say her name. That's when I noticed who benefited most from her absence. My cousin, the one who always hovered nearby when she planned events. The one who envied her precision, her calm authority, was suddenly front and center. Praised, applauded, soaking in credit that never belonged to them. The tension inside me tightened every time I heard someone brag about something she had quietly orchestrated years ago. Decorations, budgets, timelines, traditions, all stolen, all repackaged. My grief hardened into something sharper. This wasn't just neglect, this was theft. I began documenting everything. Every dismissive comment, every omission, every whispered insult passed off as humor. I wrote it all down, my hands steady even when my chest burned. Then I started testing them. I'd casually mention details only she knew. I'd reference decisions made behind closed doors. I watched their faces pale as they realized I knew more than I should. Secrets they thought were buried shifted uneasily beneath the surface. The tension finally boiled over at a small family gathering. Her absence screamed louder than any argument. An empty space at the table, a silence no one wanted to acknowledge. That's when patterns emerged, clear and undeniable. Favoritism, manipulation, lies stacked so neatly they almost passed for tradition. And I saw it all now. I learned to use emotion the way they did. I smiled when they expected anger. I stayed calm when they hoped I'd explode. Their polished smiles cracked under pressure, just enough for me to see the fear underneath. I replayed every memory of her kindness, every sacrifice, every gentle word, and the contrast with their cruelty became unbearable. Quiet allies began surfacing. Family friends who had always respected her spoke without realizing the damage their honesty caused. She handled everything back then. None of this would have worked without her. Each sentence felt like a brick placed carefully into my foundation. For the first time, I felt empowered, not reckless, not emotional, precise. Their arrogance blinded them. They still thought I was just observing. But beneath my calm exterior, a storm was forming. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was planning, and when the truth finally surfaced, it wouldn't be gentle. The call came after midnight, the kind of hour where truth slips out because exhaustion weakens defenses. My phone buzzed, and when I saw my aunts' names, my stomach tightened. Their voices were low, rushed, layered with guilt they couldn't fully hide. Piece by piece, they revealed what had really happened during the planning of the celebration. They admitted it without using her name at first. How decisions were made quietly. How invitations were edited late at night. How they agreed she shouldn't be there because her presence would take attention away. And then the truth landed hard. They had deliberately excluded her so they could finally stand in the spotlight she had always given to others. Personal praise, social approval, public credit. Shock tore through me when another realization followed. She knew. She had known from the beginning. Her absence wasn't weakness or rejection. It was deliberate, calculated. A lesson delivered without raising her voice. Suddenly, memories aligned differently. Her calm smile that week. Her refusal to argue. Her gentle, almost knowing words. It all made sense now. She had been guiding the outcome quietly, protecting herself while letting them expose their own character. Then my phone lit up again. An anonymous message. Attachments followed. Documents, timelines. Messages forwarded without commentary. Proof. Clear and undeniable evidence that she had orchestrated the foundation of the celebration long before anyone else stepped in. Vendors she secured. Funds she discreetly provided. Conflicts she resolved so the event wouldn't collapse. The revelation hit me like a wave. She was never powerless. She was invisible by choice. She had maneuvered everything from the shadows, letting others believe they were in control. I confronted my parents the next morning. I placed the evidence in front of them, one piece at a time. I watched their faces drain of color. Their mouths opened, then closed. No excuses came. There was nothing they could say that wouldn't sound like cowardice. That's when it clicked fully. The humiliation meant for her wasn't over. It was just delayed, and it was about to reverse direction. Confidence replaced the anger that had burned in me for weeks. I finally understood her strategy. Silence wasn't surrender. It was positioning. My focus sharpened. This wasn't about revenge fueled by rage anymore. This was about honoring her strength while exposing the truth in a way that couldn't be denied. I traced every hidden action she had taken. Financial support disguised as help. Emotional mediation credited to no one. Solutions quietly implemented while others took vows. Every lie my relatives told. Every false claim they made. Every moment they stepped into praise that wasn't earned. Each one became ammunition. I began drafting the reveal carefully, methodically, timing, setting, proof. I ensured there would be no room for denial, no chance to rewrite the story. Their embarrassment wouldn't be loud. It would be precise. This stopped being just my fight. It became cinematic, unfolding exactly the way she had always planned. In that moment, my purpose locked into place. Justice, recognition, emotional release. And I knew, when the truth surfaced, it would change everything. I called for a family gathering, framing it as a casual celebration, laughter and small talk masking the storm I had quietly prepared. On the tables, subtle reminders of her work were carefully placed, photos of past events she had organized, receipts tucked into envelopes, notes she had written, and videos she had filmed, capturing moments no one had credited to her. As the evening progressed, the realization began to sink in. Relatives started noticing the fingerprints she had left on every success. Eyes widened, conversations faltered, and the first threads of panic appeared in their polished smiles. I stood before them, recounting the timeline of her efforts, each story laced with vivid detail. Remember the spring gala 5 years ago? She handled the entire budget and the guest list, and yet she received none of the credit, I said, voice steady but filled with the weight of memory. Cousins shifted in their seats, aunts fidgeted, and small murmurs of disbelief spread as their lies unraveled. Contradictions surfaced in real time, exposing the false narrative they had maintained for years. Then, a key moment, a video montage played. Each clip a testament to her sacrifices. Sleepless nights, tireless planning, delicate interventions during crises. Alongside these, I included clips of their dismissive reactions, the subtle smirks, the casual disregard they had shown. The room grew heavy with shame and astonishment. I stepped forward, confronting the orchestrators with documented proof of their deception. Contracts, receipts, notes, they could no longer hide behind excuses. This is the financial, emotional, and social debt you owe her, I said, each word precise, each gesture deliberate. The tables had turned, and they felt it. Their shock was palpable. Laughter and admiration for her started to rise louder than their protests. Allies in the room, quietly loyal friends and family, began confirming her influence, adding weight to the undeniable truth. The public shift in power became absolute. Emotional catharsis washed over me as I felt her presence guiding every word, every pause, every revelation. The orchestrators were left helpless, stripped of control over the narrative they had tried to manipulate. Their exclusion strategy had fully backfired. I concluded the confrontation with a symbolic act, a raised photograph of her smiling, a memento of her years of dedication, a tangible acknowledgement of her unwavering impact. The room reverberated with respect, awe, and a belated remorse they could no longer suppress. The power reversal was complete. She, once erased, now stood recognized, honored, and untouchable. And in that moment, justice, subtle and precise, had finally been served. I watched her as she quietly accepted the recognition, a small, knowing smile gracing her lips, masking decades of silent endurance. There was no need for fanfare. Her presence alone spoke volumes. Around us, family members avoided eye contact, their shame palpable, yet they could not deny the truth any longer. Conversations shifted, hushed whispers replaced by reluctant acknowledgement, her influence now undeniable, their arrogance muted. Relief washed over me in waves, a mixture of pride, gratitude, and a lingering sorrow for all the years she had been overlooked. I made sure her contributions were permanently documented, posts on social media, community boards updated, family records corrected. Her work would no longer fade into the background. Internally, the storm of anger that had driven me now calmed into a strategic satisfaction. Minor allies were welcomed, included, subtly rewarded for their loyalty, while those who opposed her faced quiet consequences, subtle but unmistakable. We hosted a final family dinner in her honor. Her laughter returned to the room, warm and light, a balm that healed old wounds. I felt it too, a personal transformation. The rage that had consumed me was now channeled into recognition, injustice rectified, her legacy preserved. Every detail of the celebration now told her story, complete and unignorable. I safeguarded her privacy while letting the lesson resonate widely, a blueprint for subtle, righteous revenge that would echo beyond this night. Emotional closure emerged, the pain of exclusion transformed into empowerment. I caught her eye and noticed her gratitude in the smallest gestures. A hand squeeze, a nod, a shared smile that said everything words could not. The family dynamic had shifted. Respect replaced arrogance, acknowledgement replaced dismissal, and the narrative she had been denied for so long was finally hers. The aftermath felt cinematic, a story worthy of retelling, her invisibility finally shattered, her strength illuminated for all to see. I looked directly into the camera, my eyes glistening, voice low but steady. Sometimes those who seem absent are the ones holding everything together. I pause, letting the words sink in, reflecting on patience, resilience, and the hidden power of quiet strength that often goes unnoticed. Justice is not always loud, I continue. It is deliberate, inevitable, and quietly unstoppable. Recognize the unsung heroes in your life, I urge, voice tinged with urgency. Before it's too late, honor the ones who work silently, who sacrifice without expectation. I emphasize the lesson learned. Emotional intelligence over impulsive revenge. Strategic truth carries far more weight than anger ever could. A cinematic montage plays behind me. Her smiling at small victories, reconciliations unfolding, subtle nods to justice finally served. Each frame resonates with recognition long overdue. I lean closer, soft but firm. If you know someone whose effort goes unseen, honor them today. The words linger in the air, heavy with reflection, a mixture of hope and sorrow. Finally, I whisper, barely audible but charged with meaning. She was never absent. She was the reason it all happened. The screen fades, leaving behind the echo of poetic justice, emotional catharsis, and a story that will not be forgotten.